This is the all-new 2025 Ford Expedition, and the technology inside of it is absolutely insane. The problem is there's a little bit of a learning curve to it, but once you get used to it, it's absolutely game-changer technology. In this video, we're going to do a very deep dive on all of the technology on the new Expedition and teach you from A to Z a complete user guide on how to operate your brand new Expedition. Now, this is going to be a lengthy video, so we'll have the time cards listed down at the bottom. And one other thing, if you want to order one of these Expeditions at invoice pricing, call the number right there on the screen and we'll be happy to help you out at Town & Country Ford in Pell City and Bessemer, Alabama. And without further ado, let's jump straight into the content. All right, and here we are on the inside of the Expedition. I'm gonna go ahead and buckle up so that way this thing doesn't keep dinging at me if we happen to be driving off. But I wanna go over the very first thing is going to be the physical buttons. Where is everything laid out? We're gonna dive into each and every section into detail, but I think the first thing is you need to know where everything actually is located. So the first things first is you've got your steering wheel. Obviously, it's gonna get a little bit more difficult than this in a second, but you've got your steering wheel, you have your transmission selector located just underneath the big infotainment system. You have your volume knob, which is located right next to that. And then over here we have your automatic start-stop button. If you hate that feature, you can turn it off, but you have to press it every time you get in the vehicle. You have your parking mode button here, where you can actually turn on and off the parking chimes. You have your designated hazards button located right here. And then we also happen to have a dedicated camera button, which is awesome to have. And then you also have your traction control and your hill descent control. If you don't know what any of these specific features are, you might want to just Google it, but I will tell you traction control, that's pretty self-explanatory. Turn that off if you want to do burnouts. The hill descent control is, since this one is a four-wheel drive, you can actually control the speed when you're doing heavy-duty, crazy off-roading. That's what that's for. Over here on the left-hand side, you have a few things that have changed. You'll notice that you no longer actually have a switch for your headlights. Instead, you actually have your selector for your drive modes. And this particular vehicle, as I've already mentioned to you, is a four-wheel drive. By the way, all of your Platinum and above, basically the only vehicle you can get a two-wheel drive in is the active trim level. And so if you have anything other than the active trim level, you guaranteed automatically have the four-wheel drive system. And you've got your 2 high, you've got your 4 high, 4 low, and 4A. The 2 high is great for dry, clean, and clear roads. If you are dealing with slippery roads, you want to go into the 4A mode. That is the all-wheel drive. It's designed for on-road driving situations. The 4H, you do not want to drive on any kinds of roads with that. That is designed for dirt roads, trails, and things like that where you might need to go at a faster speed. 4 low is really when you're in an issue and you need to get out of it. It gears the transfer case down a little bit, and it allows you to get a little bit more torque by gearing the vehicle down. And then you have the drive mode selector. As you change it, now keep in mind the different vehicle models might actually have different selections available, but you have normal, tow haul, eco, sport, you have slippery, and then you have off-road mode. I'm going to leave this into normal mode for right now. That's the way most people will be driving their vehicle. And then underneath that, you actually have your parking brake button, where you pull it out. If you want to set your parking brake on, you push it in. If you want to release the parking brake. Another cool feature about that is if you've got the vehicle in the parking brake mode, if you tap the gas while you're in gear, it'll automatically release that parking gear, or the parking brake rather, automatically for you. So that's really, really cool. Now, I'm going to show you how to turn on your headlights and your high beams and stuff like that in a second, because there's not a physical button anywhere in the vehicle for that. So you want to make sure you watch this video all the way through if you're considering or have already bought a 25 or newer Ford Expedition. Now, keep in mind that this is a Ford Expedition video specifically, but this brand new instrument cluster here, or the 12, or it's not the 12-inch, but the massive infotainment system you have here rather, that system is also found in the new 25 Ford Explorer. And so you're also going to be, a lot of this stuff might be redundant, but some of it is specifically and exclusively for the Expedition. But located right here, you have a couple of physical buttons, but they're touch sensitive. I'm going to cover these into detail in a second, but this is the side that you control your cruise control in your Bluecruise. This is the side that you're going to control the steering wheel, the power brake pedals if equipped, and it's also where you're going to control the audio for the vehicle in a second. I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. That's coming a little bit later. One thing that I did forget to mention to you is just to the left of this transmission dial selector, park, reverse, neutral, and drive, you'll see a gear plus and a gear minus button. This is a really nice feature. I'm going to put it in drive. I'm not going to drive anywhere right now, but this is what you call progressive range select. So let's say that you're driving in some really hilly situations and you don't want the vehicle to go into the 10th gear because it's a 10-speed automatic transmission. You can actually pop down a couple of gears and say, I only want to use gears 1 through 6. That way it's not constantly hunting into the 10th gear to the 9th gear. You can lock those out, if you will. And another benefit is you can drop the vehicle down into manual mode and select the gears based on that. A lot of people think, well, that's ridiculous. I'm not going to be racing the vehicle. And even if I was, it's kind of weird to have your gear selector over here instead of like on the steering wheel. But that's not really what this system is for. When you put it into manual mode, let's pretend you're in a sticky, muddy field or something like that, and the vehicle's got so much torque that you're just sitting there spinning, right? Well, you can actually drop it into manual mode, hit gear up, and you can actually start out in 2nd gear to reduce the torque, hopefully increasing the traction. And so that's really, at the end of the day, what that's for. Notice how you can't go into 3rd gear. The other thing that you might want manual mode for is if you're towing something and you want to force it into a specific gear for extra torque, you could do that. But the transmission and the drive modes are already optimized for that. But that is there available if you want to. Putting it back into park for a second, it actually reminds me of one thing. Is let's say you want to take this vehicle through a car wash and you need to leave it in neutral for a second. You actually put it into neutral, and you'll notice that on screen it says to stay in neutral when exiting the vehicle, select the M button. Then you are enabling the neutral mode automatically. And keep in mind that is not a tow mode. This is just simply so that way the vehicle can be pushed through something, or can be pushed down the interstate, or pushed through a car wash, or what have you. So that's kind of what that's for. Down here inside of the center console, you have your Pro Trailer Backup Assist. This is the feature that allows you to back up the trailer without actually touching the steering wheel. The idea there is once you have it set up, and we're not going to cover that in this video, so I apologize. I just don't have a trailer to demonstrate it for you. But once you have it all set up and you put the vehicle in reverse, you can actually turn the dial to the right if you want the trailer to go to the right. And then if you want the trailer to go to the left, all you have to do is turn the knob to the left, and it automatically corrects the steering wheel based on what you need to do to back the trailer into that specific area. So that's really nice. Depending on if it's equipped, you have your wireless phone charger located right here. You have a couple of USBs located here, USB-A and a USB-C. You also have these buttons located right here in the center console. That way you can actually slide the console back and leave it anywhere that you want to. And yes, you can drive with the vehicle in any of these positions for the center console. So really nice setup that Ford has got there, but it also allows you to secure things down in this area down here. As far as inside of the center console, there are a couple of USB-Cs and a 12-volt plug, but no other buttons. And so with that being said, oh no, I lied to you. We do have a few other buttons located here in the door panel. You have lock and unlock, obviously. You have your button that allows you to fold your power mirrors in and back out. The button on the top right-hand side allows you to lock the windows, so that way if your kids are getting crazy with rolling the windows down, rolling them up, rolling them down, rolling them up, you can actually lock them out, so that way they can't fiddle with those buttons anymore. Or they can still fiddle with them, but it's not going to actually roll the windows up or down. Just below that, you have two buttons that controls the actual mirrors on either side with an up, down, left, and right, and it allows you to fine-tune exactly how you want those mirrors to go. Below that, you have the 4 buttons for your windows up and your windows down. And so that is kind of nice that you have that as well. The passenger door just has your lock, unlock, and then the roll up, roll down. And then the same thing for the back seat. You basically just have your roll up, roll down, no locks. Located in the center console, above the center console rather, you have your sunglass holder, and then you also have your controls for the twin panel moonroof. I'm not going to open this up right now, but that's where you would control the shade, and that's also where you control the glass itself. And then also inside of the visor, you also have the SmartLink system where you can pair the vehicle up with your garage door opener or gate access or whatever that you want located right there. Once again, I don't have a gate or a garage door, so I'm not going to be demonstrating that in this video. Wanted to get that out of the way on the front end. So with that being said, I think it's important to go ahead and take a look at the screens and automatically show you what am I going to be doing in this vehicle. So like, what's the very first thing that I would do if I'm you? Well, it's actually not in the vehicle or in the screens at all. It's actually with your smartphone. The first thing you need to do is you need to go in and you need to download the Ford Pass app, okay? Now, if you don't already have the Ford Pass app, or you don't already have an account, you might actually need to create an account. I have an account, so I'm, not going to use that specific one in this video. But what I do want to do is I want to create an account for the purposes of this video. So I'm going to go ahead and create an account. Now, I'm going to be using a fake email address that I have created for this one. So I'm going to go ahead and type that in. You're going to request the code, and it's going to send you a verification code to that specific email address that I logged in. When you get that email, you come in here, you can take your code and copy it if you want to, come back into the app, paste it to verify that that's a real email address. So now it's just going to ask you to fill out some basic information. So I'm going to type in my name, Mitchell Watts. I've got my email address. I am 6'3" tall at gmail.com. Yes, that's a real email address, and yes, that's a fake one. So you can email me all you want to there. I don't check that email. This is just for this video. And then I want to go in and create a password. All right. Once I've typed in my password, I'm going to check the box. I agree to the terms and conditions. And the account is successfully created. Now it's more than likely going to ask me to sign in here in just a second, since I just got through creating it. All right, so now what it's telling me to do is I need to add this vehicle that we're currently in to the Ford Pass app. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and scan the code. Now, from this point, you want to scan the QR code or the barcode in the door jamb of the vehicle, or you can actually type out the VIN number automatically. I'm lazy, so I'm going to pop out and I'm going to scan the VIN. And there we go. It's found the vehicle specifically, and I'm going to connect to the vehicle. And it's going to say, start your vehicle to connect. Yes, I want to do this. Now, by the way, this is needed for Bluecruise to work, for all of the functionality, for some of the things that we're going to be covering in this video. A lot of this stuff is required for full activation. I'm not going to get into what does and doesn't, but notice on the screen it says enable Ford Pass connected services, tap to enable gain access. Now this is I'm going to go ahead and enable it, and while it's doing its thing, tell you some of the key features for this vehicle. Number one, you can lock and unlock the vehicle from your smartphone anywhere in the world. In addition to that, you're probably going to need this to be able to have access to the maps inside of the vehicle, because there's brand new maps built into the vehicle, and I think you have to have access logged in that way. All right, so it says accept prompt on screen. I did that. All right, now beautiful. Now I can view the vehicle, and as you can see on my phone, you can lock, unlock, slide it to turn on the vehicle, remote starting it. You have the ability to verify the specific location, which we're not going to do that right now, but that's where you would find that. You can even schedule up specific remote starts. I want it to start up every Monday through Friday at exactly the time that I leave for work. You could do that built in right there. So kind of cool. All right, so now what we need to do, we've got the Ford Pass app connected. That's the very first step that you should do. Now in the Expedition, the very second step that you need to do is you need to create a Google account if you don't already have one, or if you have one. By the way, a Google account is just a Gmail. If you have a Gmail account, my recommendation is to go ahead and set it up inside of the screen. Now let's show you what it looks like to actually sign in using that Google account. First thing I want to do, profile setup, I want to go ahead and hit start. I'm going to go ahead and name this myself, so that way you can name it yours and then your spouse could have it named something completely different. But I'm going to go ahead and put Mitchell in here for right now. And as you can see, your driving position is saved to your profile. After adjusting your seat, tap Save to store the changes. Now, I've already got the settings exactly where I like them, so I'm going to leave them where they are, and I'm going to go ahead and hit Save. But you would adjust all the seats, the mirrors, the steering wheel, all of that kind of stuff that I'm going to show you how to do that in a second. In fact, let's go ahead and do it right now because it's actually telling you how to do this. You need to adjust the driving position. You'll notice that you have the D-pad on this side over here. There's one illumination up here, and that is the icon of a mirror, and you also happen to have a steering wheel built into that. That might actually be brakes, but it looks like a mirror to me. But if I come in there and I touch this, you'll see that it adjusts with this screen up here. You can see it's moving as I move my finger on that D-pad. But if I tap this top button, what happens is you can go up for steering wheel adjustments or down for pedal adjustments. And so if I want to go to my steering adjustments, I would press the up button, and then I can move it down, I can move it up, I can move it in, and I can move it out. That's how you adjust the steering wheel. In a similar concept for the actual power, brakes. Now keep in mind, not every Expedition is equipped with a power brake, so I'm gonna go back and I wanna go down to the pedal adjustments. And since this one is equipped with it, we're showing you, but you can adjust them out towards you and you can adjust them in away from you. And so it is nice to be able to adjust those how you want to using this D-pad. Now, while we're here, you can actually see you have your volume up button, which we have nothing but static because this is a brand new vehicle right off of the lot. And then you can change the station right and then left, located with the left and the right. We're going to cover this side here in just a second, but we've already gone over the driving position, so I'm going to go ahead and hit save. And the cool part is that I can set this specific key with this whole setup that I just got set up. So that way this can be my key, the other key is my spouse's, and every time we get in, you have the entire thing is linked up and set up. So I'm going to go ahead and hit try again. I'm going to hit boom. Now the profile has been saved to the key. So now every time I get in the key with this, when you get in the vehicle with this key, it's going to crank up and it's going to move everything the way I want it. Now, if my wife grabs this key, she's going to be upset. But if she uses her key, everything will be good to go. All right, so I'm going to hit next on the screen. And you'll see Google services. You know, you have to basically give them all access to everything. But, let's see here. I don't really want to do any of this. So I'm just going to hit more. I'm going to hit accept. And yeah, I don't really care about, hey Google, keeping that on because I use Siri. I've got an iPhone. And then you could still turn that on if you wanted to. Hey Google is basically the Google Assistant for an Android device, if you're not familiar. But I think it's just as easy just to hit the button on the thing. So now here's what's cool is that you can actually go in here. I can open up my phone and I can scan the QR code. And so if I flip the camera the right way, once I scan the QR code, it asks if I want to log in from my phone. So we don't have to type the username and type the password and all that kind of stuff. As long as I've got it set up here, I'm good to go. Now, for purposes of the video, I tell you what, let's not sign in on the phone. Let's do this. Let's see if I can go back. And, oh, it just logged me out completely. So here's what I want to do. So let's go back into the settings. And this is actually probably not a bad idea to kind of cover this, because you know, you'll notice you have your main navigation on the left-hand side. You have your main climate underneath that, all of it on screen. But if you hit the 6 dots located right here, it gives you lots of menus that you can play with. But what I want to do is I want to go into settings. I believe that's where it's going to be found. And then you can actually log in with your profile right here. And I want to link my profile. Nope, that's for the key fob. Go into accounts. There we go, and I want to add an account. That's how you get back into it. So if you accidentally skip through this whole process and you need to go back into it, that's how you do it. Hit your 6 bars, go to settings, profiles, and log in that way. I'm going to try another way. So I'm going to go ahead and actually type in my email address on screen. I am 6'3" tall at gmail.com. From here, it is going to ask me to type my password, so I'm going to skip forward so that way you're not logged in under my email address. And now I'm signing in to the actual vehicle itself. Now you can see I'm signed in, I'm done. This allows me to download apps from the Google Play Store directly to the device. To the vehicle, the device on the vehicles. You don't have to do it to your phone. It's actually saved inside of the vehicle itself. So let's go in and let's kind of give you a little bit more of a tour of the screen. And to do that, I think the next thing we need to do is connect Apple CarPlay. Now this is going to look a little different for Android Auto, but I don't have an Android to show you, so tough luck. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up the settings app in my phone. That's the first step. Then the next thing I want to do is go into the Bluetooth menu, and you can see all of the vehicles that I have paired up over time. But what I want to do is you'll notice that on screen you have this add phone icon. If you click that, it will give you a couple of different devices that currently have the Bluetooth on. In just a second, you should see your Expedition on your iPhone. When you select it, it'll ask you if you want to pair it up. Yes, I do. Hit pair on your iPhone, and basically allow and yes and check all of the settings it's asking you to do. Enable 911 assist. Yes, you definitely want that. It's a feature free for life that if the phone is paired up and in the vehicle and you get in an accident, the vehicle notices that and will automatically use your phone to call 911 for you, even if you're not able to. It's a really cool feature. Hit enable for that. You'll notice on my phone, you actually have connect to CarPlay. Yes, we definitely want to do that. On screen, it wants you to double confirm, start Apple CarPlay, and give it a second, and boom, shakalaka, you have Apple CarPlay loaded right up on the phone, which is a very, very cool thing. I will say that this setup is significantly better than what I have found in the previous versions. I have had quite a few days worth of experience playing around with this Expedition in prep for the video, and I'm shocked at how seamless it connects to my phone compared to my Bronco Raptor, compared to my wife's previous version of the Expedition. This system is significantly upgraded from the previous version of the Expedition, just in pure reliability. And so props to you, Ford, on that. So now that we've got Apple CarPlay loaded up, let's go into the deep dive of the screen, all of the settings, but I want to show you how to navigate it a little bit more. And let's start off with the weather. Located here, you have your controls for climate on the driver's side. You can adjust it here, and notice when you tap it, there's a little button above it where you can swipe it up, and then you can fine tune it exactly where you want to a little bit quicker. The same thing on this side. You have a temperature located on this side, and you swipe it up, and then you can nail that temperature down to a T as well. And the cool part is that most of the time you don't actually have to set your fan speed. My recommendation is set your temperature and then click auto. Whereas the 3 buttons on auto is going to make sure that it gets to your desired temperature much faster. It will give you a higher fan speed. Okay, so let's say if I set it on 60 degrees, I don't know if you can hear that through the microphone, but the fan speed increased. Now, if I want to stay at 60 degrees, but I don't want it blowing so viciously at me, you can tap auto one more time, and now you're on 2 out of 3 when it comes to this screen, and it drops the fan speed down, but it'll still work to get you to your desired temperature. Auto 1 gets you to the same temperature, but once again, at a lower fan speed. It'll just keep doing it until it gets to where it needs to be. And then once again, it's dual, so you can fine tune it exactly. Now, depending on how your vehicle is equipped, you'll have this button located right here that looks like seats. There's one on either side, and you can see you've got heated seats, you have cooled seats, and you also have automatic seats depending on what's going on outside. It'll automatically heat or automatically cool, just depending on what the temperature outside's doing. And you'll notice that above that, that's your steering wheel, your heated steering wheel for the vehicle. That's how you turn that on. And then the same thing over here for the passenger side. Now, this vehicle is a Platinum, but it is not a Platinum Ultimate package, which means it does not have the multi-contour seats, the fancy seats that massage your button back. If you want those seats, you have to step all the way up, and I don't have that in this vehicle to demonstrate, so unfortunately you're kind of out of luck when it comes to that demonstration. But usually what happens is there's a little button located here, a center button, where you can tap that button and it'll automatically turn it on. Once again, not going to cover that in this video because I don't have the ability to show it to you. All right, so we covered temperature here, we covered seats here, seats and temperature, so that's what you've got on the outside. The middle section that we have here, if you wanted to force a specific fan speed, you would just tap it up and it would increase your fan speed. Tap it down, does the same thing, or swipe up and you can control the fan speed very specifically, depending on how you want it. So that's what that looks like. But once again, I just leave it on auto all the time because it's usually what's best for me. Max defrost, you have your defrost and then air conditioning located right here. If you need to get into the nitty-gritty of your climate control, you can hit this button right here and it brings up your controls for the front seats and the rear seats. This is how you control the rear air conditioning in the Expedition, is by tapping that center icon. If you, but before we jump into the rear air, let's tap the button again in front. You can say, hey, I want the air conditioner to come from the front vents. I want the, or the defrost rather, I want it to come from defrost, and you can control exactly where the air comes from. And that's really nice. But once again, I just set it to auto and let it do its thing. It's pretty dang good. Sync temperature, that is basically, if you say, hey, that person's over here at this temperature, this person's at this temperature, I can hit sync temp and it locks them together. Basically, it removes the dual air temperature control. Max AC, it's exactly what you think it is. It blasts your air conditioner for you. In the state of Alabama, which is where I'm from, very, very useful. But moving down into the rear air conditioner, you can do the exact same thing. Set the temperature to whatever temperature you want, leave it on automatic, let it do its thing. You can lock the rear climate control seat. So if your kids are acting crazy, you can actually get in there and lock it, so that way they're not fiddling with the air conditioner vents and fighting over it. So that's really, really nice. All right, so the next thing I think we can go over is what is included on the left-hand side navigation. This is your main navigation. This is how you'll navigate this entire screen up here. We're going to cover the instrument cluster here in just a second because there's a lot going on with that one too. But let's cover it. Home menu takes you back to your home menu. If I need to go any further, this video is not going to help you. So your default is here. I do believe you can actually customize that, but you can come in here and swap over your profiles if you wanted to. You can look at your Google Maps, which I'm going to go ahead and open that up. Review privacy settings. I have to do this because this is the very first time that I've done this. By the way, a lot of these features that I'm talking about, like this, is not going to work if you don't have the Ford Pass Connect set up, and it's not going to work if you don't have your Google account lined in and signed up. So this right here, what you're looking at, this Google Maps, is not off of my phone. It's off of the vehicle because I set it up originally. Going back to home, you can see your music, Metallica. If you don't like Metallica, that's okay. I still like you, but you have bad taste in music. But you can see that is playing because that's what I've been playing on my phone. And yeah, that's your home icon. It's really simple. Click Vehicle to get into the most features that you're going to need access to in the truck. You're going to use this vehicle icon probably more than anything else. Things like automatic hold. This is the feature that if you're doing a lot of stop and go, if you have this turned on and you come to a complete stop, you're in drive, you come to a complete stop in traffic, you can let your foot off the brake and it will hold you exactly where you are until you lightly touch the gas. When you lightly touch the gas, it'll resume rolling and everything else is normal. It basically automatically holds you where you are if you're in drive and stopped. So that's kind of what you're looking at there. Lighting, this is going to be where you turn your automatic headlights on and off. The reason I'm waiting so far into the video to cover this and not covering this earlier because there's no dedicated switch is because Ford sets it up automatically the way you need it. It's got automatic on and off headlights. That you don't need to change that. That's the way it comes from the factory automatically. The other thing is the auto high beams where it goes high and low. That's also set to on, so you don't need to fool with any of this kind of stuff. So that's the reason that I'm just now showing this to you. But moving on to the interior lights, this is where you would adjust your coloration for the vehicle. The ambient lighting. Once again, this is all assuming that that your vehicle is equipped with it. But if it's equipped with it, this is where you would change the color and also the intensity of how bright you want that light. Once again, zone lighting. This is going to be basically if you're tailgating at night or if you're camping at night, it allows you to go ahead and turn on all of the lights around the vehicle so that way you're illuminating that campsite or whatever it is that you need it for. Go ahead and turn that off for this purposes. And so that's what your lighting tab is. Rear climate lock. It's a faster way to get to what we're talking about right here. You can lock that rear climate. Coming back into here, vehicle status gives you tire pressure, oil life, pretty self-explanatory stuff, but that's where you'd find that. Driver memory. This is where you can come in and tweak the settings. Oh, yep, I want to scoot the seat forward. I want to scoot the seat, lean the seat forward. I want to adjust the mirrors. I want to adjust the steering wheel, the pedals. All of that stuff is adjusted, and then you would come in and click save, and now it's saved to your profile. And then you can restore it to the last seating position. So that way, if your wife gets in there, screws everything up, but you're using your key, you can just hit restore and it goes, and moves everything back to where you like it. Moving on to the next part, brightness. This is really nothing that you need to fool with because it comes pretty much out of the gate exactly where you'd want it. But you can actually dim the instrument panel if you wanted to, or dim the, I guess it handles both of these at the exact same time, but that's where you would find that. Going back into the vehicle menu, you can see Valet Mode. This is a really cool mode, so that way if you don't want the valet seeing your home address and seeing everywhere that you've been, you would come in here and say, hey, I'm going to enter a 4-digit PIN that's special to you. Don't forget it because it's a pain in the butt to get it to undo if you forget your PIN. But 1, 2, 3, 4. Confirm it. You're going to have to do it again. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that way you didn't get a fat finger. And now I can't do nothing. Now, I can change my climate so that way your valet's not going to sweat to death. But you can't get into maps. You can't get into detail. Like, they can't mess with nothing. And that's what I like about it. Type in your PIN code one more time to unlock the system. Now it's back to normal. And if you wanted to go back in, you can have the chance to create a brand new valet PIN code the next time. It's not the same code that's memorized forever. Moving into settings, There's a lot here, so let's come back to that in just a second. I want to show you this feature first. Because the new Ford Expedition has the brand new split gate, this is where you can control that in the screen, okay? So you can tap this button and it opens up the hatch for you. And notice that it just opens the top piece. But if I wanted to, I can close it back up, same way. And by the way, this is also a dedicated button over here, directly right next to the transfer case switch, where you can change it from 4-wheel drive to 2-wheel drive. I forgot to mention to you, these are hard physical buttons that Ford gives you as well. But if you wanted to open both the top hatch and the bottom hatch at the same time, you'd press the button to the right, and then they both open up. I love that new split gate. Ford, I know y'all watch these videos. Please, please, please give us a color matched option. I know Ford's, they're making them all black so that way people can identify this is a 25 versus a 24. But if you've got a chromed out vehicle and everything's chrome except for that black rear hatch, it kind of looks a little funny. But either way, I digress. Let's move on into settings. Inside of these settings, you've got everything accessed over here. So these are all of the different features that you can tweak and mess with. If I'm you, I would leave everything the way it is with a couple of quick exceptions. So the very first thing that I would want to do, you can change the sound settings if you wanted to, pretty self-explanatory. Bluetooth settings if you wanted to adjust the phone that I just paired up earlier. Driver assist technologies, this is something you're going to need to adjust if this something if you like, oh, I hate Bluecruise, or I hate this technology, or I hate that, you can turn almost everything off right here. So you can come in here and you can say, I don't want adaptive cruise, I just want normal cruise. Well, notice up here it says normal cruise control active, adaptive braking off. It's just a little bit of a warning because you turned it off. You're crazy if you don't like this, because once you get used to it, oh, there's no going back to it. Lane centering with hands-free available if you pay the monthly surcharge. In-lane repositioning. This is the feature that if you are next to an 18-wheeler on the interstate, that the vehicle will scooch over just a little bit, give you a little bit more space between you and that gigantic truck next to you. Activation prompts, pretty self-explanatory. Predictive speed assist. By the way, if you don't know what any of these features are, hit the I next to it, and it'll actually tell you what's going on. The predictive speed assist actually predicts upcoming conditions like road curves, changes in the speed limit, things like that, and it adjusts the speeds of the vehicle. So that way, if you're coming around that high corner, it'll actually slow the vehicle down even if you're in adaptive cruise control mode. It's actually kind of nice. Sometimes it's a little too aggressive, but it is nice to have that functionality to change it. Exit warning, what is that? Actually, warns you when you open the door if the surroundings, oh, that's kind of nice. So if you're about to open the door and maybe a car's coming, that's really nice. You may definitely leave that on, and that's on from the factory. By the way, everything that you see here, unless you see me change it or alter it on screen, this is the way that Ford comes automatically out of the box. This is a brand new vehicle. No settings have been tampered with prior to this video. Blind spot information system, that's on. It basically tells if people are in your blind spot. That's kind of nice. But I skipped one. Rear view camera delay. This is a feature you need to turn on, and it is not on from the factory. These Expeditions are pretty big. Sometimes it can be difficult getting them into a parking spot. So what Ford does is this allows you to, when you put it in reverse or when you hit the camera button, is the camera doesn't go away automatically when you put it in drive. So like if you back up, the camera comes on, right? Automatically. But when you put it in drive, the camera goes away immediately. Well, sometimes it's nice when you're on low speeds to still be able to see that camera to maneuver where you're going. And so basically that camera delay allows that camera to stay on until you reach that higher speed. So it's a really, really nice feature. Trailer side view, cross traffic alert, reverse brake assist, and driver alert. All of those under your driver assist settings. Going back into settings for a second. Your system settings. This is where you would want to do major things. that you might not need all that often, but that's where they're going to be found. Like for instance, if you ever sell the vehicle and you want to do a master reset because you don't want everybody knowing where your house is when you sell the vehicle to the next person, or if you're having issues and you need to reset it, just go into your system and go down to your reset options, and then you can actually reset a factory reset. That turns it into a brand new, never been tampered with system. That's actually what I did right before starting to film this video. And so the rest of the stuff, you kind of don't really need to do it, mess with it. Like the system update, you can come in here and force an update, but the thing sets up and does the updates automatically for you. You don't have to go into this to get the updates. Everything else is really just kind of nitpicky stuff. So I'm not going to cover this. Profiles, we've already kind of covered this. This is where you would go in and add a new profile if you want to add a spouse or add a child or add whoever you want to, and you can link those profiles to the key fob if that's something you want to do. The display, this is where you can change everything inside of the display. Let's say you get freaked out, quite frankly. You can come into the calm screen and everything is calm. It's kind of nice, right? It's kind of nice that you have that ability. Tap the screen and it should come back on, or maybe it doesn't. Oh, okay, there we go. So go back into here, you can hit your settings, or once again, hit the car vehicle and then settings. There's two ways to get into the vehicle settings. So yeah, that's what we're looking at. All right, let's talk about a couple of other things. Let's say you don't have kids. And, when you get out of the vehicle, watch what happens when I cut the vehicle off and open the door. Check for rear seats, occupants. That's a really cool feature. I love that Ford has that. And if you ever want to turn that off, you would just hit that toggle button right here and confirm it. And then it'll check with you about twice a year if you want to turn that feature back on and off. But if you wanted to turn that feature off earlier than that, or turn it on or off earlier than that, you can go back into those settings and you can actually do the rear occupant alert. And now I can turn on the alert and the horn. So that's kind of nice. So not only does it alert you inside the vehicle, but it can actually alert you outside the vehicle as a reminder if that's something you want to do. Lighting. We've kind of already talked about some of the lighting on the turning them on and off, but this is where you would turn on automatic high beams. Definitely recommend you turn that feature on. Doesn't cost you any extra. You got it, why not? Auto lamp delay. How long do you want the lights of the vehicle to stay on after you get out and lock the vehicle? If you like it staying on a little longer, you can, set it up to 120 seconds. So that way those lights stay on, allow you to get back in the house or get to safety before the lights turn off and everything goes dark. Easy entry and exit. This is turned on automatically. The idea is if I've got my seat kind of scooted forward and I turn the vehicle off, it scoots out and back and allows easier in and out of the vehicle. Remote start setup. This allows you, once again, none of this stuff needs to be changed, but I'm just showing it to you where it is anyways. Climate control, it's going to set to automatic or last setting. So let's say I know I want it to be blasting the AC when I get in it. You can actually set it to last setting, and then just when you get out of the vehicle, set it to max AC, and then no matter what, when you do the remote start, it will automatically go to blasting your air conditioning because that's what you did last. Ford, give us an update on that. Please give us the ability to control the exact temperature and the climate from the Ford Pass app. I know you got that capability. Please, please, please give it to us. All right, so that's what you're dealing with on the remote start. Windows, wipers, power split gate, all of this stuff is customizable. We're gonna kind of start hitting some of the higher stuff. Power split gate. You can actually customize what you want the power split gate to do. So if you want it to be manual, you can do that. If you don't like the power side of things, you can even come in here and customize what does the key fob, when I hit the button on the key fob itself, what's going to happen. You can customize that right there on the screen. Looking down here, we have got the keyless entry keypad. Oh my goodness, Ford, thank you so much for keeping this feature on here. You can come in here and you can customize your code by typing in the factory 5-digit code here first. In full disclosure, I forgot to get the factory code before this video, so I don't know what it is. But there's a really cool thing that you can do is there is actually a method where you can get the factory digit code if you don't have it. You have to have both sets of keys. You basically take this key and you drop it into a security hole, and then you turn the vehicle on, but don't crank it. Meaning that you basically press the start-stop button without your foot on the brake. You take it out, and then you put the other key in that same hole, you start it, and guess what? It'll actually spit out the code right there on the screen for you. But you have to have both keys, and you have to know where the keyhole is. And this is such a brand new vehicle, I haven't found it yet. So this is kind of fun. We're kind of finding out some of this stuff together. But either way, let's keep moving on. Oil life, you can actually click and hold this to reset it. We've got 329 miles on the vehicle so far. And so we've burned up 1% of the oil life on the vehicle. I'm not going to reset that because the first owner of the vehicle is definitely going to want to, know what the actual oil life is on this. But in case your quick oil change place forgot to reset it, that's where you'd reset it inside of the vehicle. All right, so moving back into settings for a second. We've gone into system, we've gone into vehicle, profile, display, 911 assist, location. Once again, a lot of these are some nitty gritty features and settings that we don't necessarily need to cover in this video. So let's do this. Let's cover some more of what we've got in here. Let's hit the 3 menu bar, the 6 menu bar. You can see lots of other, not settings necessarily, but you can see lots of other features are available. Now, you'll notice that YouTube is already downloaded. That's pretty cool because you can go in and, watch your favorite YouTuber as long as the vehicle is in park. You can watch your favorite YouTuber like TC Customs on YouTube. You can watch that right here on the screen as long as the vehicle is in park. And in full disclosure, I don't have that good of service where we're located. So I'm not shocked that this is going to take a minute to download or to upload. And also, by the way, this is the very first time that we're opening this. But you can come in here and you can type in TC Customs. And it gives you predictions. Yeah, so it looks like that was just because it was the very first time we've opened it up. But now you can come in here and, you can take a look at one of our most popular videos if you wanted to. Now, in full disclosure,
what's up, guys? Mitchell Watts.
I've gotten a little older and gained a little weight since this video, but we've been doing this for quite some time. But the reason I wanted to point this out is I wanted to show you a really cool feature of this whole setup. So notice that I'm not in full screen mode, but I can go into full screen mode, okay? Now that I'm in full screen mode, if I want this up here, I press this big button, and boom, now I've got YouTube up here on the instrument cluster. Now, this is not going to be very practical because you can't drive it down the street, but this is for like neck ergonomics. It's a lot more comfortable to watch it here than it is a long distance here, because I've been focused on the screen for this whole video so far, and my neck is starting to hurt a little bit. I know that's going to make me sound like a pansy, but either way, that's what we're dealing with. It's just kind of neat. And then if you wanted to go back here, you would press that button up here, and then boom, we're back to normal. So that's pretty neat. It's an intuitive little system. Now, let's say that I want to get some new apps. Let's say I want to get a game or I want to do something like that. I can actually come up here into the Play Store, and I'm going to go ahead and accept it. I am 6'3" tall at gmail.com. And it's going to give me some quick recommendations, some quick tips, featured by Ford. You have Asphalt Nitro. Let's go ahead and, can I install this? Oh, it's already downloaded. That's fantastic. And so you've got a video game located right here on the screen. It's pretty rad. And so you have to let it load up for the very first time. But this just kind of shows you how much power Ford has put behind the processors behind this thing, because in the past vehicles, this would crush any of the other previous Ford systems. Like if you tried to run a game that's as, intensive as this, it would absolutely crush the processors inside of that vehicle. So all right, so this tutorial is for touchscreens. No controller is attached. You can play the game using a controller. That's pretty stinking cool. So you basically, I think you just slide it. All right, And all right, so we hold the drift. Why this is necessary. And then so you select your blue path, you slide it over, boom. It kind of does the driving for you, but if you have the controller like an Xbox, then you can actually, you know, how necessary is this? You have to be very specific needing this, but it's kind of nice that you have the horsepower behind it that you can actually pull something like this off. All right, so no thanks. We want to get out of this. I think I just figured it out. You basically have to swipe up and then it gives you your full menu access back. So you can hit home and it completely kills the app. So there we go. I'm sorry I had to figure that out live while I had you. But getting back to the vehicle itself, hit your 6 menu bar. You can go back into the Play Store and you can actually download and search for any specific apps that you possibly might need. You can actually do that, type it in up here, and you have full functionality. I'm not going to sit here and show you how to download every single app. But what I think it is important to do, though, is spend a little bit more time with this instrument cluster, because we've given a lot of love to this big infotainment system. Now you need to understand, how can you customize this instrument cluster? Now, the good news is most of it is the way you see it, the way you get it. But there is some functionality. And to change this, you're going to be using this button located right here. So let's say that this is too busy for you. You can actually select a widget of none and notice that it cleans up what we have right here on the instrument cluster. But if I want to see my media, you can tap media and it shows you a Metallica song or whatever it is you happen to be playing. Or if you need to see your gauges, you can customize that. Your fuel economy, you can do that. Off-road status, you can do that. Now, here's one thing that I absolutely love about this setup. So let's say that I want to go in and I want to use my Apple CarPlay, and I don't want to go home. Let's just pretend that I need to get directions to Town & Country Ford in Bessemer, Alabama. Town & Country Ford, Bessemer, Alabama. Boom, there's my options. I select it here. I'm gonna go now and watch what's gonna happen. You have Waze now is up on the instrument cluster. How stinking cool is that? So you can still have your media located up here. You can have this over here and do whatever in the world you want to on the infotainment system. This is one of the very few times that, and I'm a tech guy, I love tech, but this is one of the very first times that I've got more than enough real estate to see all of the information that I need without having to hunt for it and changing menus and all of this other kind of stuff. I think this is absolutely incredible that Ford is giving us. But that's basically how you control that entire instrument cluster. It's just basically using this little button directly underneath those 6 dots. If you need to get access to your CarPlay, assuming it's connected, you hit that little CarPlay button. By the way, the same for Android Auto. That's where you would find that button located right there. And so that kind of takes care of what we're dealing there. You can hit over and you can even add in a trip meter here, trip meter there, and your weather location right there. Now, I don't think I have this set up yet, but let's go ahead and give it access and see if it gives us, hey, Helena, Alabama, which is where we happen to be located in some random parking lot in Helena, Alabama. But that's where you would see this information. Kind of cool. And so that's where you would customize all of the instrument clusters. Now, if you come in and you adjust your driving modes, you'll notice that your instrument cluster is going to change a little bit there as well, for the most part. Well, I say that, and apparently it didn't change it so much, but it did change it. So you can see your RPM gauge is located right there. That changed because when I go back into my normal mode, that completely goes away. So it's not a massive change, but it is a little bit of a change. And that's really the only customization that I've been able to find after spending a whole lot of time diving through this vehicle on exactly how you customize that infotainment system. Now, I want to talk a little bit about Bluecruise and how do you set that up. Now, once you've done all of the setup work, you add your phone, you add your Google accounts, you do everything that we talked about there. You have Bluecruise as a 90-day free trial at a minimum. You also have the ability to pre-purchase some Bluecruise for like a little bit of time, or you can even buy it on the Expedition for the first time ever. You can actually buy it forever for a minimum of 7 years. And so that's kind of nice that Ford's giving us that ability. But all of those features are automatically turned on. You don't have to do anything or fool with anything to get that done. But you do need to know how to turn it on. And it's literally as simple as turning on your cruise control. Now, I'm stopped and I'm not moving, so you're not going to be able to see everything. I'm not going to be able to demonstrate it fully, but this illuminated thing that's located right here, that is your cruise control. You turn that on, and then you basically just set your speed by tapping up and down. And then you can come over here to the left-hand side and you can adjust the gap. How much of a gap do you want between you and that vehicle in front of you? You can adjust that. And it's literally that easy to set up your Bluecruise. Now, we've already talked about the right-hand side and how to adjust the pedals and how to adjust the steering wheel. But I do want to show you how to use the media controls. So if you wanted to control Siri, or the voice activation in this system, I already know that the bottom left-hand side is going to get me that prompt. Well, okay, Google, I need you to do da, 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 da. I'm not gonna actually do that in this particular tutorial because I use Siri for everything. But that same button, where, by the way, if you just touch this pad once again, notice you have the voice icon. I've memorized already that voice icon is going to be on the bottom left. Just from driving it after like 100 miles, I was like, oh, this is pretty simple. And by the way, that's the same for everything. And I realized, because I realized when I first saw this, I was like, that's going to be intimidating because there's buttons here, but you don't know what they do. And I will tell you, after about 100 to 200 miles worth of driving and playing with it, it becomes intuitive. Because when you get in your car right now that you had prior to this, you know where the cruise control button is. You don't have to look for it. You just press the button because it's, once again, it's muscle memory. Let's pretend I want to play some kind of a Metallica song. Well, instead of, I want to use my Siri, so instead of tapping that down button, I'm going to click and hold it. Play Metallica.
Now playing Metallica.
Now, unfortunately for copyright, I can't let you listen to the whole song, but that's how easy it is. Now, notice that if I wanted to turn the volume up and down, all I have to do is up and down. Those are your volume knobs. It's that easy. It's that easy to adjust the volume up and down. And by the way, changing to the next track is just as easy as hitting to the right, or going back is just as easy as going to the left. So it's literally that simple. Now, I kind of want to wrap up the video right there, and I just wanted to say a huge thank you for watching this video all the way through. It really means a lot. I know this video is crazy long, but hopefully you got some value out of it. And if you got some value out of it, the only thing I ask is to hit that like button. You have no idea how much that will help this video make it to people that need to see it. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you have a blessed day. Peace.